Fellas, today I'm gonna just give you a trick that literally has helped me to fucking double, triple my closing rate in sales conversations, to allow me to be the man in any nightclub scenario, to allow me to have an amazing network, to allow me to always have the relational context that I want and to dominate into any social interaction, in any social situation, because I know what I want out of them. And I know that this mental shift is going to do the same for you. Now, the mental shift that I'm going to walk you through in this video is going to sound very simple. And it's going to sound like very corny because maybe you've heard it 1,000 times in different aspects of life. But I'm telling you that this shift, okay, if you listen closely to what I'm going to explain you today, I promise you it's going to have a massive impact, okay? I don't know how long the video is going to be. It's going to be as long as is needed to get this point across properly, because that is my focus point right now. Now, that kind of leads me into it. So I'll give it to you right now. The focus point, right? The subconscious mental focus point that you have, once again, subconscious meaning you're not really aware of it most of the time, but we're going to make you aware of it right now. The subconscious focus point that you have going into any interaction, whether that's a sales meeting or whether that is, a social interaction, whether you're going on a date, whether you're making new friends, whatever it may be, okay? That is largely going to dictate the result that you get. Now, I'm gonna give you right out of the gate a great example, okay? So when I was 18 years old, I was running a marketing agency and I was just cold calling businesses, setting meetings, and then from there on, getting on these calls and closing them on 1,000 a month or 1,500 a month, okay? And in doing this, I had an extremely high close rate. But what I found, this is earlier on in my journey, literally 18 years old, and I was closing these deals, but then I wasn't collecting the payment on the call right after that, or I would wait to get it or whatever. And then the deals would fall through the crack, okay? Why? Why did this happen? Because these people all said yes on the call, right? And they were all bought in and they all looked like they wanted to do it and they were going to do it. Now, there's one technical element to this, right? Where like, oh, you could collect the payment on the call, but I've even had it where I did collect those payments on the call, but then maybe they wouldn't follow through afterwards still, or anyways, you get my point, right? I was selling them, but they weren't really sold. Now, here's the shift that I had to make and that I came up with in order to completely change this. I was focusing at that point in time on getting a verbal yes, on getting a verbal commitment, right? To basically just get them to say yes. That was my focus point, right? And I was getting a lot of that because that was my subconscious focus point, right? So if that is my focus point subconsciously, all of my communication is going to follow along that focus point, right? It's going to automatically go along that line. And then I'm automatically going to get that result that I was focusing on. Now, what was happening is that people were saying yes, they were going along with my focus point, but they weren't actually really saying yes. So what I was focusing on was getting them to say the words yes, right? Getting them to commit to doing it or whatever. However, afterwards, I shifted that and I went into the focus point of getting them to want to say yes to me. Getting them to want to ask me, how can I work with you? Getting them to a point where they ask me to work with me. Now, that was my new focus point. Now, that doesn't mean that every time they asked me, right? But it means that every time that we did get to that closing part, they were actually properly ready, right? And they were actually, if we closed, it was a real close. They would always pay, right? And they would always actually follow through with stuff, and it would actually be a real client, okay? Now, it might sound like a very small thing. Oh, you shifted your focus? Thanks for the breakthrough thought, Boyd. Appreciate you there. Thanks for wasting my motherfucking time. But listen, that shift in focus is massive. Because if you just ask yourself real quick, okay, instead of just doing everything, right, to kind of like get them to say that yes word, you're now shifting, right, and communicating in a completely different way that is designed to get them to really want to say yes, okay? I'll give you a different analogy, right? A lot of guys, they go out to the club, they go talk to girls, this and that, go out and about, out in the town, And then, right, their focus point is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this girl's number or whatever, right? What do they do? Get the fucking girl's number, and then they never call back, right? Or Instagram or whatever, and then they don't follow buddy back, or they don't get together afterwards anyways, right? Horrible focus point. If you actually want to go out and socialize and stuff, way better idea is to have the focus point be exactly what I just said about the sales thing. Instead of having the focus point be, oh, I want to get her number, or oh, I want to lock it in, or whatever, in that sense, right? Just make the focus point, I'm going out, right? Just going to talk to people, this and that, socialize, and I'm going to have so much fun, and I'm going to be displaying so much value in this and that, that, people will start asking me for my shit, okay? That's the focus point you want to have. Wildly different. Because you can go up to people, and this applies to any area, this is not just the social stuff. If you go up to people and you want to basically enter their party, that's what you're doing with the first focus point largely. You're trying to get something, right? I want to get this new contact, or I want to get this new girl that I'm going to date, or gonna get her to... Bro, you're just trying to take, you're just trying to get here, okay? Whereas you can also build your own party within the party, and then invite people into that, right? Or get people into that, or people will want to join your party, right? And you can feel this mentally and physically, right? Even if you're trying to, if you're like out and about, like yesterday we were at the gym and there was just a bunch of dudes that I knew and a bunch that I didn't know, whatever. And we were just having fun. And, I was just there and we were just kicking it. And then more people came to sit with us and stuff like that, because this was the center of attention. And you can probably remember a time where you were just kind of like joining a different group, or, a funny thing that always happens is when you're seated at a certain event, maybe a wedding or a birthday, and you're kind of seated with people, right? Your nameplate is on the table, on the plate at some point. And then you're sat with a certain environment, certain people. And then there's always like, in any scenario, I guess there's always kind of like, oh, this is the cool side of the table, whatever, right? I'm talking about high school shit right now, boys. But either way, that usually happens. And I've never had that kind of conception of it, right? I just always have the conception of it, of like, hey, wherever I'm going to sit, that's going to be the life of the party. That's going to be the source of the energy. And then those cool people, their focus will be in here. We're creating the party, whoever I'm sat with. If I'm sat with the fucking waiters, I happen to be in Bali right now. I always have a fuck ton of fun with these local Balinese people. They're hella funny, okay? As an example. So anyways, you create the party wherever you are, and then you can merge people into that, right? And that is, once again, not a micro concept. That is a macro concept that applies to everything in your life, okay? It's the same thing with your business and everything as well, right? If you're going out and really trying to chase these clients and calling them up and this and that, and then doing it that way, trying to get something like that, is very different. Like when I had that marketing agency, what I was just telling you about, to give you more examples, right? Because examples and analogies, they're extremely powerful for you to really understand these things. That's why my videos take longer. I could tell you the whole concept in 1 minute, okay? It'll be a YouTube short, right? It won't be a YouTube video like this for all you procrastinating ass motherfuckers. But are you gonna have the level of depth of the understanding? No. If that was the case, then we could all just simply read some book summaries and get all of our knowledge from there, okay? And nobody would read any books. Why would you read a book if you can read the book summary? Well, the reason for that is because then you have more emotion in, kind of like associated with it. You have a deeper understanding of it, because actually, otherwise it's just a bit of facts, right? Just a bit of facts, and that's kind of like high school stuff, right? Like just remembering facts. Well, it's about the depth of your understanding. That's why people usually only learn a lesson when it's really happened to them. Okay, and that's why real life is always the best teacher. But these YouTube videos or books or whatever allow you to use my life experiences to your advantage, to cut learning curves, to cut time that it takes to get those lessons, because you can't possibly go through everything. But the deepest understanding comes from your own experiences, because then you have this emotion connected to it, okay? So obviously, that's easy to understand for most people, I hope. So anyways, with this marketing agency, what I would always say is, instead of like calling people and being like, hey, oh, I do this and that, and then I could help you get more clients, this and that. I would call them up, right? And I would ask for the person that would own the business. This is literally when I was just 18, okay? I literally dropped out of high school. I was doing a bunch of shady shit before that. And then I was like, listen, I gotta get my shit together. I don't want to go to college and all that gay shit with all these fucking, gay ass little frat boys and whatnot. So I'm gonna do this business thing, okay? And I dropped the fuck out. I wasn't making any money. I just dropped out. And then I started doing this shit. So anyways, the point was, I obviously over time I learned this, right? And most of this I didn't even learn from other people, because at the time it wasn't really a big thing, like the marketing agency thing yet. So anyways, I would call up these businesses and I would say, listen, I would get the owner first. I would just ask them if they had the capacity to take on any more clients. I would ask that first of all, right? And then they don't even know that I'm necessarily a marketing agency or whatever. I would just ask them, hey, do you have the capacity to take on more clients? Okay, hey, listen, the reason I'm just asking is because I actually run a marketing agency for gym owners and luxury personal trainers. And, we work all across the country, but actually within the area of Rotterdam, we're looking to fill a spot, right? Our only spot for that area. So I've looked over, the various gyms and high-end personal trainers in this area, right? Rotterdam, whatever, Amsterdam, whatever, doesn't matter. And, there's a couple ones, but I really like, the reviews and everything that you got in your gym. So I'd love to pencil in the chat for us to kind of go over this. And I think having looked over your marketing strategy, etc., that we could really make a difference as well for you with the quality of your product, but the lack of still this online marketing side. So next week I'll be in town. Is that something that'll work? Whatever, right? This is, by the way, this is like fucking 7 years ago that I did this, so I don't remember exactly, but that's roughly what I would do. So how different is it? How different am I framing myself, right? Hey, listen, we're a marketing agency, operates all across the country, and we're gonna fill a spot in this area because we can only work with one person per area to avoid any competition amongst our own clients. Looked over some of the options in this city, and it seems like you're one of the best options that we think we could potentially help most and has the most potential for us to help grow, okay? What am I saying here? I'm just saying, like, listen, we're already doing this, okay? And we're working across the country. So, by the way, I might have had 2 clients at the time, but that's besides the point. Working all over the country. So we're already gonna do this. Additionally, that's number one, right? Additionally, I'm already going to fill this spot. I'm not saying, hey, I'm looking to see if anybody wants to work with me. No, I'm going to fill this motherfucking spot. So it's either going to be you or one of your competitors, right? Because what I said is I've looked over, a couple of gyms that fit our client persona or client portfolio, whatever, and you came out as the best or one of the best options for us that we really think we could make a significant impact with. What am I saying there? I'm saying, okay, you're one of the options that I would really consider, and I'm giving some props. You can't only pull back, right? You can't only be like, hey, we're already doing this and maybe we'll take you, you also gotta come forward. I always talk about the balance thing, the sweet point, god damn it. The sweet spot, I always fuck that up. Every single video, you see me fucking that thing up. The sweet spot, okay, not the sweet point. And then, you have the right side where you're being super aloof or alpha, whatever you wanna call it. And then you have this side where you're being beta or you're being coming forth, you're being trying to build rapport, etc. Right? And you always want to dance between these two and then ultimately mostly be in that sweet spot. Anyways, so listen, then I'm saying it that way. Now it's a way different context. That meeting is going to be way higher quality, right? Because I'm entering from a way different frame, okay? Entering from a high value relational context instead of me being the chaser. And meanwhile, I built that with solely my communication, because I was just some 18-year-old high school dropout little kid who had nothing to show for, okay, except for his looks. Just gonna be honest, guys. People always say I look like Brad Pitt. I mention that in every single video. People seem to disagree on this channel, but I'm telling you that the resemblance is uncanny.
Say it. Say what you said. You do look like Brad Pitt. I look like Brad Pitt. You hear that?
But that's beside the point. All I did that with was my communication, okay? And I had nothing, I didn't even have a fucking website. What would I say when I came there to the gym? We had this meeting and they would ask me for a website. I would tell them, listen, honestly, we're an agency that really works closely and personalize with clients. We don't even have a website because we don't want to get, other people that come to us, because we're just laser focused on the people that we want to help, and we actually think we can help the best. And a website is just that generic info. And look, for some people, those kind of bigger marketing agencies with like a generic website, and they have a copy paste method for every single client, and they have hundreds of clients, that's great, and it works for some people. We're here more so for the people that want that extra personal touch, where I'm going to be personally working on your account and be in personal touch with you, right? And that's the way that we do things. So if that's something that interests you, that's great. If not, and you would prefer a bigger marketing agency that's going to give you more the email and website and everything, and kind of give you that different kind of approach, right? But they're a lot bigger, then I can happily refer you to some of my associates and some of my friends that run those, right? What are they going to choose? What the fuck are they going to choose? I just framed me being a high school little dropout with not even a website to show for. I did have a little business card, okay? That thing was flex. But anyways, not even a website to show for. And I would push bike to meetings, or I would take the train and I would actually go, we called it going black with the train, and that's not racist at all. That just means that you don't have a ticket, okay? And I would actually get fined sometimes because I would escape these fucking ticket checkers. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, I turned nothing into something because of the frame, okay? A frame essentially means, I'll give you one more example on it, guys, just to hit it home. Hit this motherfucker home. If you have a painting, I've said this before, if you have a painting, if I just fucking throw some shit on the wall here and I cut it out, okay, and I have now a painting, all right? Let's say that I just put that up on Facebook Marketplace. Is it gonna sell? No. Nobody's gonna pay jack shit for it because it's quite literally shit. But what if I work together with an associate of mine, with a contact of mine, to put that in a high-end art gallery, okay? We'll spray some perfume to eliminate that fucking smell. And then we put it in a nice-ass frame, okay? And then now we put it in there next to other very reputable artists. And even if I put my own name on it and I'm not a reputable artist, people are gonna buy that fucker for like 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever, right? Because the frame is now different. If we truly look at these fucking art pieces, most of them we could do little kids can do it, okay? It's not about that. It's about the frame. It's about the meaning that people give it because of the context, okay? So context is always determining, okay? What something's value is going to be. Now, getting back to the point at hand, the mental shift, okay? If you change your focus point to, once again, making people actually ask you for the thing that you really initially wanted, and that is now your new focus point, now you're going to have to build so much value, because if that's your focus point, you're going to have to build so much value to where they would ask you for that, right? And then it's going to be completely different than the other way around, right? So automatically, because you know in the back of your head that that's your focus point, and that's the new thing that you're going to be doing, now you're automatically going to be walking around and communicating in a very different manner, okay? So I just explain to you the example of like how that applies in sales, right? Because if you are in a sales meeting, you're just trying to get them to say yes. You're just trying to really get them over the line, right? But then you are going to deal with refunds, or you're going to deal with them not completing the payment plan or whatever in the back end because they weren't really sold. The other thing that you could do, right, instead of just doing the standard kind of sales script kind of thing, the other thing that you can do is actually, if you shift that mental focus, what's going to happen? You're going to now talk to them in a much deeper way, okay? You're going to truly uncover the resistance. If they say anything with a little bit of doubt, instead of like kind of like flushing over that and just trying to get them to the yes, you're going to really unpack that fully, right? And you're going to be more coming from a frame like, well, dude, listen, frankly, it sounds like you're not really, I know we haven't gotten to the part where I kind of explain what the steps are going to be in the program, etc. But it sounds to me like I don't feel I'm just going to be completely honest if you don't mind. It sounds to me like you haven't committed fully yet to that this is going to happen and that you are going to create an online income for yourself. So can you, reflect on that for just 10 seconds here and tell me, is there anything that's kind of still making you doubt or making you hold back of like, hey, am I really committed to, completely regardless of the program, of working with us or whatever? The first step is actually choosing truly for this path, right? So is there something that's still makes you doubt if this is for you and if you're going to be able to, in general, do online business and do your own thing instead of being in a 9 to 5? Like, what is it that is still giving that slight hesitation in your voice that I'm picking up on here? Now, something like that, now we're getting into a goddamn coaching conversation. Now they're going to say, well, listen, man, I just, now that you say it, and they might not say this, right? But let's assume, if I'm really going to be open, I just don't truly see myself really doing this, right? As I don't see myself as it's just very hard for me to grasp and believe and see myself as like this person. Now, first of all, I picked up on CCC, right? That's because I'm a visual person, because I look at them big ass booties all the time. But everybody has a preferential field of information input, right? Auditory, visual, kinesthetic, etc. So I hear C, so I'm gonna also speak about visual things back to him, okay? I'm not gonna say, well, I hear you. No, I see what you're saying. Well, listen. Okay, and then you kind of build on that, right? I won't make this too long, but as an example, you can build on that saying, okay, well, let me ask you, have you seen this phenomena of you not being able to see yourself truly as the result that you want, etc.? Have you seen this in any other area of your life, like maybe a sport that you started initially, or maybe, socially, or maybe whatever it may be, right? And then perhaps overcame that, or somewhere where it's still holding you back? Is there any other area of your life where you're experiencing that? And then you can start really uncovering a pattern that doesn't just apply to business, but applies to their life. Why do we do that? Because if the pattern is only the business, they could just say, oh, the business thing is just not for me, but I can still do all this other shit. No, but if it's a pattern that's across, right, macro across their life, now we can say, hey, you have a you problem, and we need to fix that. And we fix that on the call, right? So then I coach them into seeing themselves as a higher person, this and that, right? And then they need to make those decisions, and then we're going to go and proceed, okay? So anyways, that's a quick side tangent about sales specifically. But once again, brothers, applies anywhere in your life. You have to be understanding how are you entering, okay? And if you check in with yourself, as I said earlier on, right, you could probably remember, I kind of went on a tangent after that, as I always do in these videos. If you remember a time where you just felt in your body like, hey, I'm coming here to take, I don't feel comfortable, I'm not giving value, whatever. That means you're trying to get into someone else's party, right? You're just coming there to take. You're not actually coming and providing value and adding to the vibe. So then you need to shift that before you even enter, okay? Shift that and just come from a different place or go somewhere else, whatever, right? You can't be going into situations like that. So once again, this hack, this shift, right, that is going to have a massive impact instantly is shifting your focus point before you enter a social situation. Or frankly, it's not even just a social situation, it's any situation. As I've also mentioned in other videos, right? Even for me with boxing, massive, right? I told you guys this story in a previous video. I'm just gonna recap it really quick, right? I told you guys this story of me going to spar this dude who was like, literally number 23 in the world, okay? A Mexican fighter called Julio Aviles or some shit like that. Let's get his name. And anyways, before I was gonna go into the sparring, I knew it was gonna be very tough. You can't get out. It's gonna be really hard. But I felt like, okay, my mental focus is a little bit like that. And I shifted my mental focus before I went into the sparring. I'm like, listen, I'm just gonna go fucking forward. I'm gonna intimidate this motherfucker, right? I'm not gonna be intimidated. And I just went forward and I just went for it, okay? And that's the shift in mental focus of what I'm gonna do. Instead of retrieving and prevention, I'm going into causing shit. I'm gonna be at the cause. I'm not gonna be at the effect of things, okay? Being at the cause of things is one of the most powerful things if you can truly figure it out, because most people all day are at the effect of whatever happens around them, okay? They're at the effect of how other people react to them, and now they feel in a different way, and now they feel a bit better about themselves because they got a couple good responses. Now this is something that you can't eliminate completely, in my opinion, because we have a human instinct, we have in our biologically built in, like if people give you validation, it's going to make you feel more safe and it's going to make you feel more good, right? But there are ways to get around it. You can imagine getting validation. As an example, you can imagine, how would I act if everybody approved of me in this scenario, in this party, in this whatever. Okay, you can imagine that, and then you can act as if, right? And you can assume that to be true. Assuming, right, and imagining are skills that you need to work on, my friend, because they are so fucking powerful. I can give you an example. If I put someone in my sales team, right, and then I, actually give them a couple easy closes, or I put some actors in, right, that are gonna just close and that are just gonna be very enthusiastic and kind of make it seem realistic, right? Now they're gonna be having this winner effect going on. Now they're gonna be fucking tuning away. They're in this winner effect because they got some wins. And now it feeds into their self-image that they're the shit, right? But obviously, I actually planted it there. So as long as I don't tell them it was fake, they're gonna feel like the man, and they're actually now gonna create that result. And that's why, it's confidence breeds success, and success breeds confidence. It's a loop, it's a cycle. But where do you interrupt that cycle to actually get started? Because if you get started, you don't have the confidence, you don't have the success. Where do you start? Well, you start with the confidence and you just fake it. And then you get your first little win and you kind of walk on the stairs of wins, right? You start easy and then you get your wins. And that's also what boxers do. Boxers also, to kind of build their confidence, build their record, they start easy, right? And they get a little bit harder opponents. That's how they do it. And it kicks in your winner effect. The winner effect is just something that allows you to have more dopamine, serotonin, feel comfortable. And what you often see, even in boxing fights or even in social scenarios or whatever, the people that are really crushing it, what is one thing that they always have in common? They're just plain confident. They're just extremely comfortable and confident in there, okay? They're just fucking witty. They're just cool, comfortable with themselves, right? If it's in boxing, the guy who's winning is usually the guy who's just like fucking, pop, 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 pop. It's usually just like, there's an ease to it. They're feeling good. They're like, It's like your favorite song is just playing. You have that little kick in your step, right? Or if you have that new shirt or that new watch or whatever, and you have that extra little kick in your step, it's that kind of feeling. It's that magic X factor, that sauce, right? That's what usually makes things really tune on your on the results that you're looking for. Okay, so creating that for yourself is about building that win. Another example, right? And I've actually done this in the past as an experiment, as a joke, is if you are a dude and you go out to a bar with a friend that's like not as charismatic, let's put it that way. But you kind of like have some girlfriends or whatever, and you kind of like get him to like get into it, right? And then these girls maybe gets a little kiss here and there or whatever. Now the motherfucker's feeling himself. In an hour, he could be a completely different person. Why? Just because he got the external validation to allow him to be that. It was already in him. It is already inside of you, but you just need to allow it to come out and allow yourself to be it. And that is just working with your brain and not having it work against you, right? You have to understand how that motherfucking pound of flesh works, and you have to program it for yourself rather than against yourself, because the default usually is against yourself because it's designed to protect you, as I always fucking say. Okay, so once again, if you do that, you're gonna get that winner effect, and that's just gonna fucking get you in this upward spiral. But again, that winner effect also works. Every coin has two sides, doesn't it? Think about it. Every coin has two fucking sides, right? So every upside has a downside. So with this winner effect, the good thing about it is that it can propel you within 1 hour, right? It can just make you a completely different person. But the downside is it also works the other way around, right? So if you go into the negative, there's a very big downward spiral that you can go into, and you can also not be unrecognizable within 1 hour, right? Or within a couple days or whatever it may be. Literally, you can completely change just because you got into a downward spiral, and all of a sudden you're gone. All of a sudden, where is that killer winner that we knew before? Well, I've seen it happen. Don't let it happen to you, boys. Keep, and if it does happen, interject that shit. Fuck that. Okay, I'm not going down that fucking path. Do something really hard. Okay, maybe it's jump in an ice bath. Maybe it's fucking talk to some random ass people that get you kind of, kind of like pushes you out of that zone, and then just take it from there. I swear to God, that's how you kind of get out of that downward spiral. You just do something extreme, right away, bam, and you just go into the other direction. or you can also do smaller steps, but the extreme interjection is usually what kind of shakes you up and gets you out of it. So that, fellas, is the focus point that you want to have. Because look, one more time, the focus point is everything, okay? Even my sales team, talked to them recently this morning. We were talking about how to increase the show up rate. Well, I told them, listen, best way to increase the show up rate is one simple thing. Instead of focusing, having your subconscious focus point on booking the call, right? Shift that and change the focus point to booking a call that shows up, right? And then the next level would be booking a call that shows up and is closed as a deal. Because then automatically, because you told your subconscious this new focus point, it's going to optimize your communication and everything to achieve both those things instead of only the first thing. I'm going to compare this to advertising real quick. This is going to be a good point that's going to clarify the whole fucking thing for you, okay? And that is that if you run advertisements, okay, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, whatever, right? I personally have a lot of experience. I spent over $1 million in advertising ads like that, okay? So anyways, in ads, the biggest thing, right, that's going to determine your success is what you optimize for, okay? And so if you optimize, for example, for clicks to your website, okay, you're going to get a lot of clicks to your website. It's not going to make you any fucking money, but you're going to get a lot of your clicks to your website. Now, that's what absolute amateurs in advertising do, okay? Because clicks don't mean shit, okay? Then the next level would be, okay, we're going to optimize for leads, right? Okay, now you're going to get a lot of leads. Well, that's better than clicks, but it's still not something that's really powerful because you only have leads. Now, it depends on the kind of business that you run and this and that, but either way, the next level would be, okay, we're going to optimize for leads and people who viewed our sales page, right? And then the next one would be optimized for leads and people who purchased. And then the next one would be optimized for leads and purchasers and people who purchased the upsell, right? So the AI, the algorithm, is now going to optimize its actions, right? So its algorithm and its discovery mechanism to find people who are actually fitting all these criteria, not just getting a lead, okay? I can't tell you how fucking massive what I'm telling you right now is. Because in every area of your life, you are most likely optimizing for clicks or for leads, right? Okay, subconsciously, you're going into that network fucking setting or whatever, and you're optimizing just, to get new contacts, okay? Maybe to get something on the books, okay? But that doesn't mean shit, okay? Because people are not gonna show up, people are not gonna fucking respond. What you need to optimize for is a lead and a sale, meaning in a networking setting, okay, I wanna get contact details and I want to actually get a real relationship, right? That would be a sale, a real connection, real rapport with this person, right? If you're optimizing for that, this is going to even take care of itself, right? So even within the advertising, if you get enough sales, right, you can start optimizing only for sales. And now they don't even care about who's going to become a lead. They just know the people that are going to become a sale, and those also, to become a sale, you have to become a lead. Now your leads are going to get a lot more expensive within this advertising platform, right? But because you're going through that journey, you're optimizing just for the people that are actually going to buy, right? You're going to get more expensive leads, but you're going to get the ones that actually buy, okay? And so that is how that works. And so you in your whole life, even if you're not running any fucking ads, you need to start optimizing for sales, not for clicks or leads or views or whatever. Optimize for motherfucking sales. And that within social context, it can be a relationship. Within the sales context, it can be the sale, right? But once again, with the sale, right? When I say optimize for the sale, just relating to what I said earlier, the sale doesn't mean just them saying yes or whatever. It means them truly wanting to buy, right? That's a different sale than just signing something or whatever, or just saying yes and then not following through, or not upselling, or not committing to the program as well, is different, okay? Or refunding, right? You understand what I'm saying. But either way, that's obviously because it's a different context, so the wording is a bit different, just to clarify. But you have to optimize for deeper level events, okay? We call it events in advertising, like what you optimize. Hey, this is an event, okay? So when someone hits this page, it means that they purchased. That's an event you can optimize for. So for you need to optimize for a deeper event, right? And then so that is the event, that's the subconscious focus point. And then your communication and everything, right, on top of that is gonna automatically adjust to hit that deeper focus point. That is what you need to fucking understand. I'm telling you right now, It will change your motherfucking life. If you have this deeper focus point, a whole lot, almost everything will self-adjust. It will auto-correct, okay? I always turn that autocorrect shit off on my phone. Mad annoying, but either way, it will autocorrect because if you have this different focus point. The last thing I'm gonna say about it is just to illustrate this point one more time in a different manner. If you have companies with thousands of employees, I personally have this as well, not thousands, but obviously the structure that I'm about to say is what I have as well. If you have large ass enterprises, right, then what they have is a structure of values, right, and a mission statement and all of that stuff. The reason they have that is because when someone who's like number 1015 on the totem pole at the support staff, right, writes an email back to a customer that's complaining, he cannot go to the CEO or always to the managers and ask, hey, what exactly do I respond to this? Because then they might as well do the fucking job themselves. But the way it works is that support person way down here, right, where they don't even talk to the CEO, they can just look at the values and the mission statement and the higher level principles of how someone should act within this company, and also the specific principles for the support team. And they can look at those principles, right? Like, for example, put the customer first. And now if someone asks for a change in size, a shoe size or whatever, to reship the shoes, they're going to say, okay, yes, we're going to reply with a positive, affirmative response. Like, yes, we're going to be able to handle that for you because the principle is this, okay? And so now they're going to know how to write that little sentence because they know where to go from off of that principle or value, okay? And that's the exact same way that it works for you in your personal and professional life when you're operating from your focus point, your values, your principles, who you believe you are and what you're worth, right? And that focus point within a specific context on a micro basis. Apply that shit, please, because I'm telling you, shit made me money, shit made me happy, and shit made me, you know what. I'll speak to you in the next one.